Welcome to Gourmet to Stay, episode 15. You know, in the early morning when I'm not feeling like coffee, I can't get a cup of green tea in me fast enough. Well, speaking of replacing coffee with green tea, this week we're going to do a tiramisu. Traditionally done with espresso, but we're going to use green tea as the flavor. Green tea-ramisu. Now, I'm by no means a baker, and a lot of times I struggle when it comes to making desserts. But that's never stopped me before, and it sounds so good I just gotta give it a try. Hope you brought your sweet tooth this week. Now let's get cooking. We're gonna start out by separating the yolks from 8 eggs. We're only gonna need the white from 4, so save the rest for an egg white omelet for breakfast. I'm going to pre-sift all of the flour and baking powder I need just to make it easier for later. Now with those egg whites we're going to make a meringue. You're going to want a stand mixer or at least a hand mixer because it's very difficult to do with just a whisk. This part of the recipe requires 2/3 a cup of sugar, but we're going to use 2 tablespoons of that 2/3 cups for this part. Make sure not to over-mix it because if you put too much air in it, it won't bake properly. Baking is definitely much more of a science than an art. Make sure to follow all these steps in order and do them all properly or else it can greatly affect the outcome of your bake. My wife and I made a matcha cake the other week, and we didn't follow the order of operations exactly to the T. And something so insignificant that we thought wouldn't affect it completely ruined the outcome. Now when you pipe a mixture this thin, it can be very messy. So take your time, be patient, and just try to pipe out the most consistent ladyfingers you can. While those bake, it gives us just enough time to brew our tea. Don't underestimate how much a high quality loose green tea can bump up your dessert's flavor. When you pull out those ladyfingers, they should be nice and golden brown around the edges with a crispy outside and fluffy, airy texture inside. Now when we make this creamy, cheesy filling for the tiramisu, the steps might look eerily familiar. That's because it's going to look a lot like the batter you just made. Make sure that you subscribe to check out any future fusion recipes, plus we don't want to wash all these dishes for nothing. Much like with our batter earlier, once that egg yolk mixture is nice and pale yellow, we'll mix in the whipped cream and mascarpone. Now in a traditional tiramisu, the ladyfingers are soaked in a mixture of espresso and amaretto. But to switch things up, we're going with green tea, honey, and rum. Now when we start layering this tiramisu, it's important to just give a quick dip to those ladyfingers. They're super absorbent and can get soggy really easily if you're not careful. It's okay to leave small spaces in between those ladyfingers because this cream is going to fill in those gaps and solidify in the fridge. And of course, if you overfill your piping bag, it'll start spilling out the top like mine. First double layer is going to be our bottom, and we're going to make a second ring mold as the top. For presentation purposes, make sure the top is perfectly flat, and where we would usually top it with cocoa powder, we're going to go with matcha powder for this green tea version. Now refrigerate this pan until it solidifies, stack the layers, and you're done. Now that's a creamy light dessert that can still give you that caffeine fix. Sorry, Thelma. No raw eggs and caffeine for you this week. And when you cut yourself a slice, you can see all these layers, and all your work was worth it. Let me know what fusion recipes you want to see in the future, and we'll get it done.